It's July 20th, 2020, and we're ready to go to Taiwan. We're going to bring Jonathan home. We're all packed up. You can see all the stuff. We're going to be there for a month. We do quarantine and then some health management for a week, and then we're going to get to see him, and we'll be with him and be able to bring him home. Yeah. Next time we come home, there'll be 3 of us. Yay! Yay!
Hi.
Hello.
Why are we here? What are we doing, Dave?
We're doing a Zoom meeting because we're in Taiwan in quarantine, but in separate hotel rooms. Same hotel, but different rooms.
What's the purpose of coming to Taiwan?
Because we're finalizing the adoption of our son. And it just happens to be during the COVID-19 pandemic. So extra caution needed to be taken.
Well, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we need to be, basically extra 21 days. Normally, to finalize this step of adoption, I think it's 5 to 7 days trip to come here, spend time with the child and, go to the, finalizing the custody and the visa appointment with the immigration and then go home. But with the pandemic, we are here for the extra 21 days for quarantine and health management time. So anyways, just want to share some logistics, what we need to do in order to come here during this time. I think starting in June 29th. Is it June 29th?
Yeah.
Yes. So, all this time, I think during the pandemic, in order to come to Taiwan, you need to have a special entry permit visa. I guess the country is closed for tourism and, other non-essential situations. So in order to come here, you need approval. So you need a visa to come in to Taiwan. And to apply for that special entry permit visa, you need to go to, basically it's through the TICO, Taiwan Economic, Cultural, and
Office.
Okay, but throughout the U.S., there is TICO offices throughout the U.S., and of course the one we work with is in L.A. Mm-hmm. So in order to apply for the visa, you contact the TICO office and start that process.
Yeah, so it took a while to actually get a hold of them because of so many people trying to actually get in to get the visa, because right at the June 29th, they've changed the rules, which opened up a little bit. And so there was a lot of people trying to get the visa, and just so many things going on. Their office isn't fully open. Also, you're not allowed to really go there unless you have a special appointment. So it took a while for us to call and get a hold of somebody there that was able to help us to explain what we actually needed to do to get the special permit.
Yeah, so the route to where we went was actually through the mail-in application. So basically, this video we're going to just focus on the logistics. We go online, fill up the form for the visa, and mail it in with the supporting documents of the adoption being finalized, and the reason why we have to come to Taiwan, and the passport copies and all the and also actually make sure you also book the ticket to prove that what day you plan to come to Taiwan. So they also want to see the booking, the e-ticket from the airline. So that's the one thing we thankfully actually booked the ticket before we could have cut a hold of them. So it took about a week for us because really this lady is so amazing. Watch our package, send into TICO, and they process it right away, and we got the visa back in a week. So yeah. Amazing timing. So that's one of the major documents you need to have. Another one is the requirement is the COVID-19 test. You're supposed to get a negative result of the COVID-19 test within 3 days before you board.
3 business days.
Yes. So different place you read some document didn't say business days, or some will see 3 working days. And at first we were confused. We don't know if it's you have to take the test 3 business days before, or the results come back in 3 business days before. So because in the US it's really hard to get the test, and to time it to get the result, even to time it to get the results in 3 business days before boarding it was challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And we will talk about that part of the story in another video, but that is another requirement, because when we check in, I specifically asked the check-in lady there, and what if we don't have the COVID-19 test result? And she said, then you cannot board. So just to give you a preview, Dave's test result come back at 6 p.m. the day we bought, and we bought on that midnight that night. So it was really rushed. And we are very thankful that we actually get the test results back. And I think the test only needed for those who's using the visa. I think if you coming back to Taiwan, or you're Taiwan citizens, I don't think you need the COVID test results. But for the rest of the people like us, we need to have the COVID test results.
Yeah. So then after we had that, then actually we can tell you about the flight. So we went to the airport, and it was, for LAX, it was really amazing because there was no traffic. There was nobody at the airport. Nobody's flying right now. You could drive quickly right up to the terminal. Easy to get out and unload, and no lines at the counter to check in. Although then when you got there, they checked all your paperwork and make sure you had the special entry visa and you had the COVID test, and they even took it in the back and talked to the supervisor to make sure everything was okay before they let you board the plane. And then, of course, went through security. The security, no line on the security, it went really fast. And then once you get into the airport, all the shops were closed except for pretty much just like the convenience stores was the only thing that was open. Didn't see any restaurants or shops or anything like that really open at that time. Not too many people also in there. So we ended up, got there way ahead of time, had plenty of time to sit and relax before the flight. And then when we got on the flight, there was, they had us line up with social distancing and everything, and they checked your temperature before you got on the plane. Just as a double check to make sure everything was really still okay, that you felt well. Everybody had to wear masks in the airport, and especially on the plane. It was required the whole time. They had to actually be the surgical masks, not the cloth masks. They also, so when we were on the plane, they had us all seated in social distancing. So there was actually a spare seat in between Winnie and I. We were in a row of 3, and so they had us seated with 1 seat in between. And they had everybody else distanced around us. The flight wasn't full, so there was plenty of spots where they could have everybody move around and lots of distance between everyone. Everybody was wearing masks. Some people were wearing like full gear, like raincoats, rain suits, or like a white disposable suit that they could throw away when they were done. Face masks, you saw some. And then there was other people that were just dressed normally with the surgical mask on. So it was kind of a mix of people, but everybody was, real cautious and keeping to themselves and social distancing. Everybody wanted to be safe. On the flight, the attendants were wearing full gear. They had disposable gowns and gloves and safety glasses and everything. And they kept social distancing too. And they also did a lot of cleaning of the bathrooms. I saw them sanitize the bathroom several times just to make sure that it was safe for everybody to use. And then, so anyway, how was the meals? What was the meals like?
The meals, well, basically the flight attendants, they minimize the time. They don't come through too often, only when they distribute the meals. And the meals are in those disposable box.
Mm-hmm. Cardboard box.
Yeah. So, there's 2 water in there, fruit, apple, orange, and snacks, and, actually quite a lot of things in that box. And then they also give you hot, warm meal. So for dinner, we had chicken rice, and then for breakfast, there's the Western, the eggs and the omelet and things like that. So they give you. So one thing we notice is, how normally you get a tray of food and they collect it, so the box is all disposable stuff. Only the 1 little tray that is putting the hot food on, that tray might be reusable, but everything else, I think they throw away. Mm-hmm. And normally they ask you for coffee or tea and, come by and ask you for drinks. None of that. They don't walk by the aisle too often. The only time they walk by the aisle would be if there's turbulence and they want to check, make sure you wear their seatbelt.
So the next thing would be when we got to Taiwan then. So before we boarded the flight in the U.S., we had to fill out a form online that told all about where we were going to be staying, how long we were staying, that kind of thing.
And the phone numbers.
And the phone numbers so that they had all the information of where we were going to be quarantining. We had to show them a screenshot of the receipt that we had filled this out. So as soon as we landed in Taiwan, our phones work internationally, so we got a text right away that was a link to a barcode that was assigned to each of us. You had to enter the last 6 digits of your passport to open this code. And then every time where you went through the airport, through customs and the taxi and everything like that, they scanned this barcode so that they could track exactly where you were at and who you talked to. And so we went through customs and got our luggage. The luggage actually came out on the conveyor belt wet. They had sprayed it before it got on the conveyor belt to disinfect it. So once we got everything, and then we went out to the taxi area, which because we were on an international flight, they were all the special taxis for the quarantine. They sprayed each of us and all of our luggage down again with more alcohol, with a hand spray bottle, even the bottoms of your shoes and everything. And if I had the backpack on, so they lifted the backpack up and sprayed up underneath the backpack and sprayed the backpack and everything. And then they, of course, recorded you with the barcode again, and then assigned you to a taxi. And then that taxi driver took us to the quarantine hotel that we were at. Once we got to the hotel, they, again, as we pulled up, we could see them putting on the full gear, the disposable gowns and everything, in preparation for us to coming in. And we unloaded the suitcases and everything like that and came into the hotel. And they, again, took our information, just recording what we had. They took our temperature, and they then didn't help us with the luggage. They just pointed you to the elevator and told you you're in, Winnie, she's in one room, I'm in the other room, and the door's open, just walk in. So it was already up.
They don't touch anything.
No.
They, when you get out, basically nobody help you with, the taxi driver actually helped us,
Yeah.
Very nice. But the hotel, rightly so, they just, basically they don't touch anything. You do your own luggage, and they're very cautious and really, yeah, appreciate the how careful everybody. We streamline, and of course, when you get to the room, first thing you see is the thermometer, because we're supposed to take this morning and evening,
Yep.
and we report our temperature twice a day. And actually, they have a line messaging, so we just report through line messaging. Well, one thing about the taxi I want to talk about is the ride was about 30 to 40 minutes, I think.
Mhm.
Maybe 30, I don't know. We were so tired. I don't really know. But I mean, when I look at the meter and the calculator with the luggage, charge and everything, it will be around 1,800 NDT, which is 60, I don't know, around 60, 50, $60 US dollar. But when we pay, the taxi driver just said 1,000 NDT. So we were confused, and he told me in Chinese, so I hope I get it right, that the government subsidized the rest. So we just had to pay 1,000 NTD for the taxi ride. So the government should subsidize for the rest of the 800, I guess, in our case. So that was surprising. So the Taiwan government is really, really good at taking care of all these things. And of course, the hotel room includes 3 meals. And I'm not sure if, because the price of the room is kind of regular price, which includes, if they didn't charge you surcharge, basically, for the meal
Mhm.
that they're going to deliver for us. And I think maybe the Taiwan government subsidized some of those too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and probably the extra coordination that they need to do too, and the cleanings and everything. The government helps support that also.
yeah, so let's talk about the forms.
Okay.
Basically, this is a form from the hotel, and again, the 14 days quarantine is 14 full days. So the fact that we landed on very early morning on Wednesday, the 22nd, that day doesn't count. Doesn't count day 1. That's day 0. So the day you check in and the day you check out doesn't count. It's the 14 full days in the room. So it's 15 nights and 16 kind of days. So this form is from the hotel. I actually write down all the days. It has the 15 nights, which the 22nd is the first night. The 5th is August 5th is the last. We will check out on the 8th. So,
6th.
but this is a log of all our temperature, morning and night. And that's one form we track our temperature. And the government, this one is more the official form that we will hold on to until we leave Taiwan. I don't think they collect it unless, of course, something happens. If you really need to get help during these 14 days. But it's really every day to log if you have any symptoms. So this one is more about the symptom. Like if you have any fever, cough, running nose, diarrhea, loss of smell or taste. That word I don't know how to say. That word.
Malise?
Okay.
Basically, like really tired.
Yeah, really tired.
Not feeling well, really tired.
And of course, breathing difficulties. So this one track the symptom. And actually, we get a call from the police. Actually, forgot about that. So then we can talk about why we get a call from the police.
Yeah. So the police called basically because they're set up to track the cell phones of the people in quarantine, so they can make sure they stay where they're supposed to. And then they send text to the cell phone also that you can report, are you still feeling okay or not? And double check that you still have the phone with you too. But we're using US phone number in US, and so they actually want a Taiwanese phone number. So they were trying to ask if we could get a Taiwanese phone number somehow. So we're still working on that, but
yeah, but the thing is, normally if you don't have a Taiwan phone, they actually give you a phone, but I think apparently they run out of phones. That's why they cannot give us the phones. And I mean, the police actually very, very nice. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like accusing us of anything. You know, actually very, very nice and polite and gentle. It's just that the logistics of how they track people. Of course, we're in our room. They can track us by calling the hotel, and that's the one way I guess they are using. But technically, they need to track you with their like texting you directly and with the GPS on the phone and things like that. So, but we talked to our agencies in in Taiwan and basically asked the police to talk to our agency, adoption agency in Taiwan and coordinate. But it's not like we're in trouble or anything. It's just the logistics of how the government really planned out the whole thing to make sure everybody is tracked and safe and make sure everybody is okay and to protect those who are in the country.
Yeah, it's actually a very good system, and even though there's so many logistics, everybody make you feel comfortable as you go through it. It's actually very make you feel safe, and that they're protecting themselves and they're protecting you at the same time. So it's actually a good system. It works really well.
Yeah. Well, I think this video we just want to talk about the logistics of how we get to Taiwan and so far what happened after we land and all these logistics about being in quarantine and what we need to do to comply to the law here. I think when we get out, we actually need to wear mask all the time.
Yes.
It's one of the rules. I think we actually look at towns on the street. There's people. I mean, most people wearing masks here. Some don't. But the country here is actually quite safe. But most people wearing masks. But for us, foreigners coming in, it is required to wear a mask all the time, except when you are eating, of course. So, yeah.
So that's what we've been doing and how we got here, and we'll be sharing more later.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.